Alright, let's talk about the gorilla trek itself. Firstly, Uganda, as I said, very much tropical. It's on the equator. It reminds me very much of KZN with the bananas, the sugarcane, the very green hill-like area. So absolutely spectacular. We camped on a lake edge, and yeah, we had to share our campsite with some of the locals, which is not unusual. It does happen from time to time. But yeah, we had a bit of a rest day, and as I say, if you have water and a sunset, then you always have a sunset cruise. So some of the guys decided to go out, excuse me, and enjoy the afternoon on the water with a bit of a sunset cruise. This was another resting day, just to make sure that we get all our ducks in a row and we are ready for the gorilla trekking itself. That evening, we had our briefing from one of my local contacts, and he gave us the rundown on the gorillas, what we need to do, what we must not do. And in preparation for this, we did do an exercise program that I gave to the guys. Everybody had to do a bit of walking, make sure not to get fit, but just to make sure that their muscles can handle the day of walking. If you have to suddenly do 6Ks up and down a hill, the next day you might not be able to drive, and then you can't continue with the tour. So it was rather important to make sure that people knew exactly what they needed to do. Not difficult, anybody can do it. If you have a reasonable level of walking fitness, then you should be fine. The guides are very conscious of the fact that not everybody is super fit, so they do adjust the pace. They do have what they call a helicopter option. They'll bring someone in to carry you out if you have trouble, but it costs you a few dollars. So the next morning, bright and early, we got out of the camp and drove over to the national park in Uganda. And this is a picture that you probably have seen on TV and all over the place, and it's just the mist hanging over the mountains. And when I saw this, it just moved me to realize that I was actually doing this for real. And it was so TV-like to actually experience the mist. You go for your briefing, they tell you the do's and don'ts, how to organize yourself. You organize a walking stick just to help you to maneuver yourself in the jungle. And then finally the final briefing, everybody ready. You got your water, you got your camera, you got your walking stick. Let's go. So it's quite a stiff walk. When they split our group up into two, and the other group did a slightly shorter walk, but they thought we were quite fit, so we could do the longer one. Steep uphill, get to the top, and then what they do is they send rangers or trackers up ahead, and they start tracking the gorillas from the evening nests that they have. And as soon as they find them, they give you the word, and at that point you take a bit of a rest. We've already climbed for about an hour and a half, steep climb, steep walk to get up to the top of the mountain. So you stock up on a bit of energy, a little bit of water, and then they say, everybody ready? Let's go. And you start your trek into the bush. And this is what it looks like. It's dense, it's steep, it's slippery, and it's exciting. It's one of the most exciting things that you will ever do, tracking the gorillas through the bush. So yeah, once you are inside and they found the gorillas, they say sticks down, give your bags to your porters, cameras ready. If you go through this thicket, you will find the gorillas just on the other side of it. And as you go through, there is this green bush with this little black hairy bundle sitting underneath the bush. So our first view was actually the silverback. This is the silverback, and it was quite incredible to bump into him as a first off. So you maneuver yourself, you get yourself in position, you can take some pictures, At this point, the silverback decided that we were bugging him, and he turned over and he put his head into the leaves. There's 6 families, as far as I remember, that they do track, and that has been habituated, so humans can get very close to them, and this is one of them. So you don't really bother them unless you start pulling on a twig that he's actually sleeping on. Then he lets you know that he's not comfortable with that. But otherwise, they clean the area for you, and you can comfortably stand close to the gorillas and take some video footage, take some photographs. And what they will slowly do is just move the vegetation out of the way, that you actually have a nice clear view. This was one of the gorillas close to the silverback, a lovely youngster that was very friendly, had a nice smile, and was busy grooming the silverback before the silverback decided that he had enough. A nice picture of the gorilla just lying there, silverback head into the ground. Then we moved on to one of the females that was close by. She was also under a bit of a thicket. She was looking at us. You can see the guys removing the branches so that you have a better view, just so that you have the ability to take some pictures, take a video. And as you can see, they're not very bothered. If you get a bit too close, or you do something that's a little bit too quick, then they will remind you that this is their spot. So that was the female. She was around. There was another few youngsters that was playing in the bush, and they were. This one came in under the bush and was fairly playful, slapping its chest like they do, kicking around. Very typical gorilla behavior. So this was one of the youngsters, as I say, that was just around there playing with another one. And yeah, again, a nice picture of the gorillas. You get fairly close, you can have the time to sit down, take some pictures. You can see the guide in the background just moving the leaves out of the way, so that you finally have a slightly clearer picture of the gorillas. And then the silverback decided to get up, and he moved off. And we followed him for a little bit. It's very difficult. They move a lot quicker through the bush than we do. And we found him in the bush, sitting like a little Buddha, and just not really interested in us at all. So you can see we get really close and take some nice pictures. And finally we got a nice view of him sitting there and just enjoying his morning. That being done, it was time to get ourselves out. You leave the forest with the shortest route that you can, and ultimately our group, as I say, they split us in two, so this was our group, and we compared how dirty our bums were because of all the slipping and falling. There was a few prizes for who had the most gracious dive and who had the most gracious plonk down. And yeah, all had a lovely time. So really a lot of fun. It is worth doing it. It's expensive. You'll probably only do it once in your life. I probably will do it more in my life, because it is really quite special to actually do this.